Revealing Chinese secrets through Japanese Kana, or Japanese secrets through Chinese Hanzi or Kanji. This is episode number 3 in the actual handwriting series for our Hiragana sets. We've actually had a couple of more episodes going into the back end of this and some of the mechanics of it. So make sure that you go and look at all of those after you've seen this clip. But today we're looking at sa shi se so. So if you want to get 3,000 years worth of history into your muscles, which is an amazing way to learn Chinese, Japanese, heck, even Vietnamese, Korean, because these are all languages which at some point in their history have used the brush to write Chinese characters. This is the series for you. As I've described in other clips, I've built this sheet out based on the principles that we use in Minecraft, using a bit of text, some Google Sheets to build tools that we can really learn from. I'm pulling from different sets, so this is the Hiragana set, and then I'm also pulling from this Hentaigana, which are other variations that could have ended up as modern day Hiragana. It's just by the luck of the draw that they didn't. So we're going to examine all of these for the sets today to see what we can learn about Kanji or Hanzi, Chinese characters, and getting a more adult style handwriting into us, and also starting to see shapes that native speakers see in shapes that maybe foreigners don't when they're initially learning their Kanji and even Hiragana. So let's have a look at this first set. By the way, we're looking at sa shi se so. We can see this sa has come from this word here. Now in Mandarin, it's zuo. Let me show you something as far as the origins of this word, which is fascinating, especially if you're Thai or you're Vietnamese. So here, again, using some very cool Google Sheets tricks, what I've done is we put this character in here and it pulls up the Middle Chinese, the Mandarin, the Cantonese, also the different Japanese pronunciations, and even the different Vietnamese pronunciations. Now, this character means left, like left and right. And so we think sa, but in Chinese, it's zuo. They don't really sound the same, but have a look here. If we look at Middle Chinese, we have ta, and then this question mark up here means the throat has a glottal stop. So that would be zai, zai, which turned into the sheng or rising tone in tonal languages. But then look at that, zai. If we zai, sa, sai, and the word for left in Thai is sai. So we can see that we have thousands of years of history leading all the way back to this, even from Thai. In Vietnamese, zai, the same word. Here we have sa, which would have been from saw, 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 sa, sa. We see many languages shifting that R to R and vice versa. If you move towards, say, Wuxi, Anhui, and in other languages in more inland China, this zuo becomes zhou. So this one word has amazing histories, and you'll see different variations of it throughout China and throughout Asia. But let's get back to the writing. So I think today's session, while we're going to look at a lot of characters, it's all about the crossbar. Let me show you what I mean. Now, if I'm going to write this character in normal script, we've got this cross over here, which generally represents a hand. Okay, and then we have this down here, which is actually like a gong or a working particle. Now that looks a bit dodgy. So we have going up, going down, we have that coming down, bang. That would be a full handwriting form. But when you actually write it, some weird things happen. So let's have a look here. We go up, and then we come down, and I'll do that faster now. Let's just focus on this bit, up, down. You see that? Even if I went faster, up, down. And you can, some people will get this bowing in it going up here. Some people, the pen will slightly lift off and come down, so it might turn into that. You get, see this little lead tip out here, that comes here and then goes down. And then that, because we don't want to lift our pen in this part also, so that turns into that. Okay, so let's put those together now. We have this coming down, bang, that turns into that. Now, this is when it starts to take shape. Because this now isn't coming all the way to there, I'm doing that now. That is this component here, but you can see this angle starting to kick in, and it's this sort of parallelogram. So watch what's happening now, coming down, bang, bang. Now, because this is all starting to angle its way over, I go like this and I'm coming down, bang, bang. And this is where we get the modern sa from that you can see in here. Now you can see in this font here, it's joined, but in many fonts, you'll see it like that. So many people won't tend to put together this and that, meaning the same thing, because it looks almost totally different. If you just look at the angles, they're almost on opposite angles, but now you can see actually they're from the same character. As far as this crossbow is concerned, I think it's worth noting. So you've seen this go across like that, and you see that coming up, and then that going down there. That is a very common character. So we looked at that character when we looked at the word for big. So here we got that coming down, and then this coming down here. But as we get faster, that coming down, that goes into there. And then this bowing up always happens, and then that coming down in there, to the point you could either get this, which turns into this, okay, or you could get going this way, bang. And that would be wrong according to your Chinese or Japanese teacher, but that is a very valid form. And you will see the word for big written like this a lot, especially in, these calligraphy styles or stylized versions of the font. So just be aware, you may see something written what you've been taught is the wrong way. It might not necessarily be wrong. The order in which you do the strokes, it really depends, but there are standards to it. So this ta would be like that, turning to that. And that's like, of course, where we get this word from here, tai, from this ta with a stroke in it here. That's the ta in Japanese hiragana. For this one here, that turns into that. And you can even see it over here. Have a look at these variations here. Now, this is the original zuo, but these ones are actually made from it, and you can see these transitional forms here. Have a look at this one here. That goes across, it comes down, kicks there, and then you've got this going down. So let me just do that again. You've got this coming down here like that. Now we've talked about that particle, that's the 人字旁, and then this one comes across, it's kicking up there, coming down and there, and that's where this came from. That there, sa. So just be aware of that. This one here is another version of this same zuo particle on the right, but you can see it's actually gone the other way. So rather than doing this part down and then coming across here to the left, which has happened here and actually in the final hiragana, it's actually gone the other way. So whichever way it goes, I guess it's up to the writer, just as long as you know the rules first before you break them. Let's just have a look at this one here. This word is ta, and it literally means to lack. Now the way it's written in full form, you've got the two dots up there, you've got this coming down here, that there, and then you have this bar, which is very similar to this one here that we just did. But watch what happens when we start to write it fast. We normally, we've got two dots, so those dots comes first. And so rather than going 1, 2, 3 and cross over like that, what happens is you've got two dots coming down, that comes down, and then you finish those out, then that comes down there like that, and then that underneath. So let me just do that again. So we go down, down, bang, and this. And this is a very common pattern. So the general rule is, supposing this is a fictitious character. Okay, normally in normal stroke order, you would do it like that. So you go cross, 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 down, down. That's your normal stroke order that you're taught in Chinese. However, when you're doing cursive writing, the general rule is you go across and down long bar and cross, 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 and final. That's basically the algorithm for writing these types of characters that have a crossbar, a long bar, and then a final. So for example, the word for book, normally you would write it like this, coming down and across, and that going down like that. But actually, what happens is, they actually do the crossbar, bang, 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 and then across like that. So that is that. Okay, so which turns into long bar down, bang, and that, which is the modern 简体字 for book. The modern simplified character for book has actually come from that. So you can see so much history in these. One last one I'd like to look on in the sa is this one here, because we get this character a lot. Now this one is sha. Now the particle to look for here, is the xiao particle. So this one is small. We have small there, and then we have this underneath like that. Of course, with the sandian shui. Now, we've looked at these 3 drops of water in the past, that they're going to all sort of arc out and point up. So arcing out and pointing up to this corner here. So we don't worry about that. Let's look at this component here. So that, and under. But when you start to do it fast, you get that, and bang, down like this. And you'll see many characters that get this in it. So basically, that is the short form of that. Just get used to that pattern because it happens a lot in Chinese. Moving on to shi. So let's have a look at shi. The original kanji comes from this character here. So we have that there, that down there, and like that. That's zhi. Literally means of. So it's basically like the de in Mandarin. So something, zhi, something would be the thing of whoever it is. It's a possession particle, or the genitive if you were looking at cases from Indo-European languages. And you can see originally coming from this de in Middle Chinese. So de, I wonder if this is where the actual word in Mandarin, which means the possessive, also came from. Who knows? I'll have to look into that. But anyway, this is where it's come, the, but this is zhi, and then the zhi softens to a shi, shi. But just looking at how the strokes go, pretty easy to see the logic in this. You got that coming down, and then it starts to just get faster, so it goes down like that. And so you can actually see the transitional forms here. Basically, this is a semi-transitional, and this is full cursive form of that going into that. The modern shi in hiragana in Japanese has basically come from this, and so it's almost somewhere between there. So rather than just going down like that, which is just a stroke, in modern Japanese it's like basically that shi shi se so. I could imagine though that there are some people, right, and you can even see this kick in this here because that's originally from this dot here. So I imagine some people who know this, or if you were to write the shi character, your muscles would also be putting this kick into the top there. So just be aware of it. So even though you see a font that looks like a clean, I guess like a fish hook like that, it's not a fish hook. It's come from this, which has come from that. Okay, so having known that, that muscle memory should have those little micro movements in it. Just one other thing I want to mention in this one, actually there's 2 in this shi set. The first one is to look at the number 4, and so we get that. Normally it's 1, 2, 3, and then going down, that's 4. So let's have a look at 1, 2, and then we see that joining onto there. And have a look over here now. That middle bit, you've got this stroke here, and then that totally joins on. So we've learnt in the past that if you're drawing a box, it goes like that and that. So faster just turns into that. So the same principle when drawing a box that has stuff in it. Basically, you've got this line, stuff, and then bottom line. Okay, so that's the general principle for stuff in a box. So here we go. We've got this line here, got this line, stuff in a box, and then down like that. And I'll do it again. There's stuff in a box, and that's the number 4. So 1, 2, stuff in a box, 4. Yeah, I lifted my pen up. Could go either way. You can see it here. It's come across like that, and it just happened that that would have been the Hentaigana for it. The last one I want to look at in this shi is this, because this left-hand component is fascinating, and it's something that you see a lot. So this has come from the word xin, san, if you're in Cantonese, meaning new. Have a look here. You've got this component up top, which is the li or stand component, and then you've got this coming down here and there, and then we've got this coming down here. So what we're going to look at is this component when you're doing it as a left-hand component fast. Watch what happens. Now, first of all, if we understand this li component on top, what happens is this. It goes basically down, 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 down. That's the fast way of writing this. So li, down, down. And then your pen lifts up, so that turns into maybe down like that. So for example, the word for dragon, you've got this up top here, you've got this down here, you got this down here. Now this is the fancy version. Watch what happens. You've got down, bang, 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 bang. That comes down here. This comes up here, and that is dragon. You can see this here. And then for this one here, look at that. Comes down, bang, comes down, and then it comes out like that. That is from this here, Xin. So this component here has actually originated from that. You'll see it in other characters. For example, this word here, jiao, meaning and then, this turns into this. Again, it's almost the same. Bang, and then up. And then that's there like this. So this component here is a generic left-hand component that might have something up top and a stick in the bottom, I guess. You see it being used for a lot of components. Also, for example, the word fu, you get this here like that. So that should be in there. So this or this one here, meaning e. So by the way, this component here originally comes from this character. This component here originally comes from this character. This is shi, meaning to show. This is yi. I'll just write it here, yi and shi in Mandarin. So this one here means to show, yi means clothes or material. And so whether it's got a dot here, it's this one, or whether it doesn't, it's this one here, to show, and also something auspicious. What happens is basically you get that and that coming up here as the shorthand form. So then fu would be written like that, which would then be abbreviated to this, bang, bang, and down like that. And you would get the same happening. So what's one character with this? Maybe the original character is this, and then we have this coming down here, bang, down. So this is bu. This character, this part of the character, again, would just end up looking like this, come across here, down, and like that. It's really messy here, mainly because my video card is having a heart attack. But this is the shorthand form for this one here, coming down, and that is the shorthand form. They look very similar, but just keep your eyes out. If you see this kind of pattern, it's probably going to be something like this on the side. It's got stuff at the top and then legs at the bottom, I guess. This is the shorthand form of it. So there you go. This kind of knowledge, I really don't know anywhere else that's taught. This book, well, actually is, I bought it years ago in Vietnam, and it does have some information on the general stroke particles, not the main bushou and things that you'd normally get in calligraphy books. But they're few and far between. This knowledge is only learnt really through experience and just mass exposure to Chinese characters and Chinese and Japanese calligraphy. So you're getting it all here. Okay, sa shi si. Let's have a look at si. So we see si here. This is a pretty easy one for the modern one. So it's just basically come from this character here, which means an inch. So when you write that, the normal stroke order would be there, coming down. No, actually, if we're looking at the balance, it's a 2 to 1. So if this is the middle line, that's 2 across to that 1, then coming in, that coming across there, and that in there. But then when it's done fast, comes in, and so it goes there, down, and kick, which then is where we get there, down, and kick, and then it comes in. So that's the modern tsu, where we get it coming out like this one here. Now it's a bit wonky. Let's try it again. So coming out, bang, down, tsu, that's the kick down and kicking down, tsu, or su in modern Japanese. There's not a lot to say on that one. The other ones that I want to comment on, this one. You remember in the first episode, and we looked at the shorthand form, and it was actually a. So we learned that this word from peace, it's a roof with a woman sitting underneath it, turns into this. We put the roof first, and then that stroke, and then that comes around like that, which turned into our there a. That's our a component for hiragana. So we've got this, whatever is up top, then the long stroke for this woman, and then the curly bit down the bottom. And we can see that that principle works for many other patterns. So this is a common pattern. So for example, if I've got this here, I've got this box, and I've got another box, and then I've got this coming down, and then I've got a woman underneath. So this is this component of the word shu, to count. Watch what happens. basically you're getting stuff up the top, long stroke down and around. That has come from this. That lines across all the way down. That is that. So anytime you see this woman character down the bottom and something up top, a lot of the time you're just going to get just a general stroke gesturing whatever's up top, long stroke down, and woman at the bottom. And you can see that that has been indeed written like that. So I've got that, long stroke down, woman at the bottom, and then normally this would be that. Okay, that's coming from that. So the normal way to write that in cursive form would be like this. And so all in one stroke then just turns into this. Bang, bang, bang. And that is the original character of bang, ding. That goes in there, and that comes down there, and then that. So many strokes in this being able to be reduced to this. Notice this kick in here. Again, if we have that, that's down there, and normally that would kick in. So that's where that kick has come from. Bang, like that. So knock that into your muscles when you're doing this. We've learned that in another clip too, but this is a very common form. So this would normally be this pierre stroke going out like that, and when your brush hits there, it kicks back in, which turns to that, and that kicking in. That looks a bit weird. So there, and that kicking back in. So that is indeed that, and that turns into that. Okay, and you can see that coming out here on this end of the stroke. The only other one that I want to mention here is this part. So the yeah part of this character here, shu. So again, first of all, these three strokes here, which means something appealing to the eye. So anytime you see that, it's basically appealing to the eye in the meaning of the radical. That again just turns into one stroke. But the thing we're going to be looking at is this. So we have a crossbar across the top. We have this coming in. We have this here, which is actually like an eye. So that goes in there. And then we have these feet down the bottom. Yeah, meaning a page. Now let's see how that's done fast. So what happens is you get a crossbar up the top, down, and there. And then we do the middle bits there, and then the feet there and there. And this, you can see, basically turns into the modern Jianti form of, for mainland China. This is the actual character for this. Which is basically just come from the cursive form. If you take the head off of that, you get the word bei. And so that, of course, follows the same principles. Another character that looks like that is the word to see. So again, you get that, those in there like that, meaning to see, that's jian. And so if I start to write that fast, then I get the same principles coming in, which then I can just go bang down like that and across like that, and then that just straightens out, so it comes down across like that, and that is the modern Jianti form of jian, or to see. So you can see that happening in this pattern here. Just get used to it, you'll see it a lot. Next syllable, sekai, shi, meaning world. Let me show you the general stroke order. Now, there are different stroke orders for this, and you're going to see it in the cursive form, but the general stroke order, let's have a look. We have 1 going across, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up, okay? It looks really sticky. I haven't written this in a proper form for a long time. So let me do it again. So across, down, down, cross, and then back up. Okay, so that means shi, or world, sekai, se. That's just really complex to write. And so what happens, there are two ways you can go. You can either go this way, and so you just basically go across. Instead of doing this one last, watch, we go bang, 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 and then we do the bottom, which turns into this. Cross, bang, 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 bottom. And you can see that here. So that's actually one very legitimate way to write this character, shi, okay? Another way to write it though, you basically do across, it's like you're going bang, bang, and across like that. Now that is similar to another character that you might know. Have a look at this. Yeah, meaning also. In classical Chinese, This particle is a particle that you put at the end of a sentence, similar to Japanese when you say des, but it actually means a change in state. So if something has been something and then something else is this, you would put ye at the end to mean this is so. It's like, I guess, des at the end of a sentence. In modern Chinese, ye means also. But when you write that fast, have a look at this. So for example, in the word for he or kare, we have this character here. What that turns into is basically this, going up, down, and bang. Okay, and this is probably where you get the ya from in Hiragana. But it's following that same principle. So if I was writing this word here, ta, it would turn into this. Bang, down, and down. Okay, let me do it again. So bang, there, and down. Ta, this just goes straight down, which is where you get the ya from in Hiragana. So that there is precedent for this pattern. Across, bang, bang, and down. And you can see that happening here. Cross, bang, and down. And then this is finishing off the bottom part of it. So that would be basically across, bang, down, and then finish it. And so that or this could all be, or basically this could all be this character here, meaning earth or world. 是世界. There's the 界 part of it if I were to write it there, okay, meaning world. So look out for those strokes because you see them popping up all over the place in cursive forms, in proper cursive forms of characters. Lastly, today we're going to be looking at so. So let's have a look. They've come up quickly. Now, this here, now you would see so in Mandarin, that is Cheng. Let me just show you across here. So we can see that this character, even though in Japanese we call it so, here it is Cheng. In Mandarin, Tang. So this has come from the Ping Yang, so the bottom register of the voice in Old Chinese, which turned into the second tone in Mandarin, Teng. Originally, it was Zheng, Zheng, Cheng, Tan. In Japanese, which you'll see even now, these nasal endings at the back, a lot of the time, they just get cut off. So tung, tung, tong, so. So this is so in the Kan'on, in Japanese, so. So that's how it came from. But let's have, and you can actually see this o and this transitioning from in original Middle Chinese to a whole bunch of vowels, usually at the back of the throat. So we've got o, all of these, they're all at the back of the throat, originating from this vowel. But anyway, we're looking at the writing today. So this character, let's see how it's written. First of all, we have down, down. Now you can see in the print form, they go this way. Okay, that's mainly for print. You don't do that for writing. So here we have down, down. And then what we do is we get this coming out there, coming down, down, cross, and then that's coming down onto that. So this is a pattern that I want you to get used to. Basically, if you've got a particle up here, something up here, and then you've got this starting down here, what happens is that this usually joins onto that. Another thing where you see that is basically in this particle here. Basically, it's like a big cave wall that you'll see happening. That actually turns into that. That is the standard form for this. And I guess it's that same kind of stroke that you're seeing here. I've come out of it from there. So my muscle memory is teaching me stuff that I didn't realize. So yeah, from there and then coming down there again. And so this is where we get that pattern now. Let's have a look. So we can see it coming in here. So this is there, coming down, bang, and that has turned into that. So again, let's see there. I'm just looking how I write it normally. Yeah, it's very similar. And then that gets even faster. So we're going there, coming down and around and in there. That kind of looks the same, but then it just goes all the way out there, coming round. And that's where we get this one here. Now you can see this one kicks in, This one comes around like that. So it could have gone either way. So I'm just going to write it fast again, coming down there. So that's, I guess, where we get this part in our modern day saw. So a lot of people, when they write it, they think, why has it got this weird angle here at the top of this sort of Z thing? If you've ever done music, it almost looks like a rest. Okay, but it hasn't come from that. It's come from these original strokes here, which were 2 strokes. So those 2 strokes have turned into 1. It's come around and I get my stuff going around there. That is the origin of so. And you can see it in here as well. These are 3 forms of it. Another interesting one in the so that I think we'll look at. Now, we've seen it before when we're writing trees. So we've seen a tree going up like that. Lynn, I think I've done this in a couple, and like that. So that's basically 2 trees together. You join this bar, and sometimes that even turns into basically 2 bars, and coming across here would have been this, which actually could have turned into that. So this is 3 different ways that you can write 2 trees, but here's another way. So in this chul component, meaning clear, you can see these 2 trees up top, but they've taken another form. And they've taken the form that we get almost for hand. So rather than doing the tree line down like that, what they've done is basically done like we do for a hand component, which has come from this, and they just do this. And that goes up and down, which almost looks like the word zao, to search for. And so again, a lot of the time in cursive forms, semi-cursive forms, if you've got another character that's kind of the same flow, sometimes you'll see basically, yeah, I'm going to do that flow. I think this is a theme for today's episode, that whether it's, this component here could have come from this, it could have come from this, it just turns into this. So if I've got 2 sort of tree-ish components like that, well, I'm just going to turn it into that, and bang, that's something that I know because it's coming from this Dao particle too. My muscles just kick into that. So I've got written like this, I guess, and we've got this. Actually, we're going to have a look at this component in another episode. So basically, this particle here is from a foot. So whether you've got that on top or the shortened version, that is a foot. And one of the fast ways of writing this component here is basically line down and that. And so say the word, to stop, which you just write like that, which is where we get to, okay? So that you can see kicking in here for this bottom component. So I've got stuff on the top, and then I've got this coming down and kicking in. So this is actually the origins of where we get the to in Hiragana. But that's for another episode. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, Sashi Suseso. The next episode will be Tachi Tsute To. There's some really common characters, really common muscle movements in there. Don't miss it. Go back and have a look at the other clips so you can get a full rounded perspective on this. I hope that this is really valuable for you. Yeah, I know we live in an age of texting, but there's just something magic about getting these stroke muscle movements into your own muscles. It brings the language inside of you and makes it all that much more real, and for me, that much easier to remember the characters. Don't forget to scan the QR code, come into Discord, have a chat with us. I'm Stuart J. Raj. I'll see you on the other side.